The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hey, Benoit.
Hey, John, you're on the wrong show. We already did Amigos.
No, I know.
We already did Amigos.
I'm not that good. So hey, but we got another show tonight.
Welcome to one more show of the Table Topics. Yes, and we just finished the Amigos, which gonna air. I believe before this one on Channel 95, but you can watch it at any time on our Facebook page, Amigos.
I can give a hint, Carlos, that you're going to talk a little bit about Pleasant Street.
Oh, I'm telling you, today it's December 2nd, yep. and still an excuse that it's the COVID that we still don't have Christmas up, Christmas lights up on Pleasant Street, and here he comes again. The COVID. Well, South Main, I guess, don't have COVID, and Columbus Street, they don't have COVID, so that's why they already have the lights up. Yeah. But over here, and then it's an excuse because Pleasant Street don't have the what's the meters, what. Yeah, the parking meters and this and I asked Linda, what is the purpose of the parking meters? Oh, it's to raise money for the city. And you think that's fair for a person to go into a business and come out, okay, and have to pay $20 ticket?
Yeah. What is
we don't have the problem of people parking.
Yeah. What does that have to do with
on Pleasant Street?
No. You know what I mean? What does that have to do with
I don't know, but then it's an excuse. It's like we cannot have everything.
Okay.
So because we don't have parking meters, we're gonna have the Christmas. We're gonna be the last ones to get the Christmas decoration.
Oh, all right. I don't understand.
That's what we are.
Yeah.
But again, I wish they spent half of the time they spend to develop South Main Street, okay, that they concentrate half of that time to concentrate on Pleasant Street. As soon as one business move out of South Main, that's it. The building, the mayor and everybody, it's already calling people to rent the space. We have abandoned buildings for two generations already, for 20 years, for two decades, for 2 decades on Pleasant Street, and nobody cares. They don't do nothing. Oh, nobody met with you. I don't meet with nobody. Nobody calls me. Nobody tells me anything. It's just 1 year after another. It's Carlos just wants the Flint. Carlos, because this business paid the same amount of money that South Main business paid. Yeah. And they're not getting the same treat. They're not getting their money worth it. Like if they have their business downtown. I'm sorry. So when you start getting us treating us the same way you treat the rest of the city or downtown, that's it. Because guess what? It's a big deal to have the Armory empty for 2 years. But it's not a big deal to have the Strength Theater abandoned for 20 years.
Yeah, I hear you. There have been a few businesses that have moved out on South Main too. So what's there? Subway?
It's nothing in there. That's the thing. It's nothing in there. Since they put that court in there, killed the business downtown. Killed. Okay? And what happens now, it's 5 o'clock at night. 5 o'clock, as soon as the court shuts down, you drive to South Main, it's nobody there. Yeah. It's no cars parked on South Main, and it's nobody walking on South Main.
Yeah.
But that's you come to Pleasant Street at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, you see people walking back and forth. on Pleasant Street. Because why? Because they live upstairs, those business. They just have to come down and walk into the business.
Yeah. No, I agree. There are a lot of restaurants on Pleasant Street. I think a
And
lot
and
more
now
than South Main, right?
exactly. And right now they have the decorations out on South Main for what?
Yeah. I don't know how.
When people are walking, I mean, people, the decoration should be up for people to enjoy, right? For people to get on the Christmas spirit, right?
Yeah.
But nobody walking downtown, and people are walking on Pleasant Street with no lights on.
Yeah. I know.
People actually are shopping on Pleasant Street, and it's not one Christmas decoration on Pleasant Street.
Well, let me
And
ask you
today's
this.
December 2nd.
When is it going to happen? Have you got any
I don't
idea?
know. I don't know. And it's like, I don't care no more. Come elections again, and come knock on my door, okay? Like they always do with promises, okay? And then I'm going to follow you. I'm going to follow you, and I'm going to tell you, where did you film?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, hey, that's you do what you feel's best, right?
So, the last show I got the last word.
Yeah,
So this show you're gonna have the first word.
No, you've had the first word on this. I've given you because I know this is important to you. So hey,
yeah, but because you went right into the subject of Pleasant Street. When you touch Pleasant Street, the fire comes out of me.
Oh yeah, no, I know it's not gonna end pretty. That's for sure. So
what we got this this week, John?
I just want to talk about a couple things that you're not going to really see on mainstream media, and I'm talking about Fox News, MSNBC, CNN. There are two news networks now on the web. One's called Newsmax, and you're going to find a lot of things that are on there that you're not going to see on other organizations. And Right Side Broadcasting is another a stream that they go to different things. Also, I think the other one's NDT. Don't quote me on the acronym, but that network, NDT and Newsmax, were covering over the last week the president's attorney, two attorneys, Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellison, have been going to speak to different legislative groups, one in Arizona, Pennsylvania. But the one that I found really interesting, and we have some tape on that, and we'll get into that a little later. But in the state of Michigan, and how people keep on saying, "Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence?" Well, people testified in front of the Michigan legislature, and they basically signed affidavits under perjury, penalties of perjury, as they call it. And they brought up some things that were happening there. And basically the main things that were happening there. So, and I'm not really familiar with elections, but apparently you can have like poll watchers. And I've heard that term, but I never really knew what they did. So if you're a poll watcher for a Democrat, you have a poll watcher for a Republican as well. So it was happening in the state of Michigan. And this was echoed by dozens of people that testified. Number one was that they weren't allowed to get within 6 feet of the ballots. Now, this is the Republican poll people. The Democratic poll people were allowed to get within a foot, if not closer, to see that actual ballot. What was also happening was the Democratic poll workers there were constantly screaming at the Republican folks, saying, your mask is down a little bit, you're trying to kill us. They were extremely rude. The poll people there were extremely rude, argumentative, trying to basically get them out. So I don't have this video, but there is a video out there that shows Republican poll watchers getting kicked out of the poll places, and the people are clapping, cheering, jumping up and down, sort of thing. So that went through constantly. There were also folks that said that, you have a book that you look at for registered voters, and then it's in the computer. Well, they were getting ballots that weren't in the computer or in the register book, and they were just putting them through, which you can't do that. You know what I mean? They're not registered voters, so they shouldn't be allowed to be counted. Numerous things like that. They said the other thing, which I thought was very interesting, is that since the mail-in ballots are folded, they were getting jammed into the system a lot. So what would happen is they put in, basically say 100 votes. So the thing would get caught at 28. So what they would do, what you're supposed to do is take those, take the ballots that came out of the chute. You're supposed to put them aside. What they did was they took those out of the chute and they put them back on. So they were rerunning those ballots again, which, basically is not giving you a truth count. The other thing that I found in Michigan too was that they were out of balance. And I don't know if you had seen, there was a certification group that came on the news, and they didn't want to certify it, but then they were getting threats to their family, threats to their children. So they ended up backing down. But what their big complaint was, the Republican folks, was that a lot of these books were out of balance. So out of balance means that they sent a ballot out, or they didn't send a ballot out, and they got a ballot back. So it wasn't in balance. So that's why the folks refused to do that. That's basically can be considered fraud, or you got to come up with an explanation as to why your ballots don't match what's in the computer, what's in your books, and what has been scanned. And pretty much in the state of Michigan, they said most of the ballot things were out of balance. So I kind of learned a lot by looking at the election, by listening to this. It's very interesting. So I just wanted to play the first clip. This is of a lady, and it's about a 2-minute clip talking about what she experienced in a polling place in Michigan. Not sure if we're hearing the sound on that. Can you hear it, Carlos?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, this lady is basically talking about some of the things that I just spoke about. What she was basically threatened when she would bring up like that ballot. You can't, put that in. That it's not in the books. Basically, she was threatened. Shut up. We'll throw you out of here. We'll get the police to throw you out of here. And that's what she talks about. I don't know if we can get the other video to work, but this lady actually worked for the Secretary of State's office in Michigan for over 30 years and said these problems have been something that have been out there, and they've never been corrected. And she just found it was even worse during this last election. So I know that they're going to these states, and they're trying to get, see if we got it.
I was under the impression that as a poll challenger, our primary responsibility is to make sure before a vote is cast that ballot is either in the registered poll book, the computer book, or in the paper poll book, of which anytime as a challenger, I tried to look at the ballot and then try to verify it, I would get 2 or 3 of the poll workers literally screaming at me to get back 6 feet. However, we did not know that had been overturned the night before, which would have been helpful. But at no time were we able actually to physically see the ballot and then see it in the poll electronic book. The person opening the ballot would probably be sitting where Senator Theis is, and the electronic screen that we were supposed to be watching is basically to where the committee clerk is. Now, I don't know if you guys got binocular vision, but I don't. So I cannot look at a ballot over here, run down to this screen and be able to see it and verify that it is the same. I did address that with them multiple times, and they told me, sorry, I should have planned better. Plan better as to how, needing binoculars. I mean, we as a poll challenger are supposed to verify the name, address on the ballot to the electronic poll book. And if it is not there, then it is supposed to be in a paper poll book, of which there was a significantly large poll worker. anytime that I said that is not in the book, when she would scan it, it would not come up on the screen. Then she would basically hover over this paper book, sometimes checking something, and other times we could see that they did not check it. And then they proceeded to manually enter these into the electronic poll book, where then they would come up on the screen. Many of these papers were not absentee ballot, the yellow envelope, the standard ballot. Some of them were on printed paper. Some of them were in white envelopes. Some of them had multiple papers attached to them. So then they would manually enter them into the electronic book.
So basically, I don't know if you got to hear. I know it was kind of going in and out. I don't know if it was on your end.
I don't want to make a video.
Yep. So
no, I could. The sound was perfect.
Okay, good. All right. So yeah, so she brought up a few things that she had noticed, and this went on. I'd say they probably gave about 8 or 9 hours of testimony. Folks coming in saying the same basic things, that this is what the issues were. They also, what I found very interesting, is that they talked about the people that they were like folks that were Democrats that were basically yelling at the other folks. They were trying to get them kicked out of the area. And one person, I don't have the video for this person, but one person called them paid agitators. He said they were paid. It was like they were there to do something, to get people out of these areas. And I'm sure you've heard different things on the news about, there was a postal worker that basically testified that he was moving ballots from New York State to Pennsylvania. And there were thousands and thousands of ballots that he was moving. And he came out and said, I don't know what this is, but it needs to be investigated. I believe DOJ is looking at this, but they've been really, really quiet as to what's going on here. And if you probably saw, the AG came out and said they haven't found any evidence. And then later on, they basically came back and said, yes, there is evidence. So we'll see. People don't have a lot of confidence in some of the things they've heard and seen. So I'm going to let you talk, because I know you're dying.
No. I have curiosity.
Yes.
So she's complaining that the votes are being handling on one side.
Yes.
And the screen showing on the other side.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So to start, when they refer to her, you should be very prepared.
Yes.
Is she thought that the two, that to identify, they will be closer. Number one. Number two is she actually wants to handle the book and the vote to verify.
Yes. Well, Carlos, hear me out with this. All right. So if you're there as a poll watcher,
I'm trying.
No, you're there as a poll watcher, right? You're there to make sure that the votes are counted right. All right. So that's number one. Why would you think that you'd have to bring binoculars to look on the other side of a stadium to see? How are you to know those votes are right? But the Democrat folks were.
I don't think she was prepared for the setup.
Oh God!
She was not prepared for the setup, because the way she was saying was they were handling the paperwork on one side, yep, and the screen was showing those votes going through on the other side. I mean, to start, she was not prepared. Either she wants to be closer to the screen, or she needs to be closer to the votes, the votes that are feeding on the machine. So that's one problem that she didn't know about. She didn't know about.
Well, Carlos,
okay, but my problem is it's impossible for you to actually handle the votes and verify the signature on the book.
They weren't doing that.
You know, I mean, how long it's going to take? But that's what she wants to do. Yeah, that's what she was planning to do.
That's the law.
How can she do it?
That's the law. If an absentee ballot, that is the law. That is the law.
How long will it take to count one vote?
Well, Carlos, that's the thing. That was why the president and people have said mail-in ballots are built with fraud because people aren't going to want to check the signatures. That's the law. You have to check the signatures. They didn't have time to do it because they
it's
threw all this
impossible.
on it. Well, but that's the law, though. So that's why we should.
Yeah, but that's impossible.
But Carlos, what I'm trying to say is then we should.
But it was not done. Listen, it was not done 4 years ago.
Yes, it was. Yes, it
maybe
was.
It was fraud.
No,
maybe it was fraud 4 years ago,
Carlos.
and when he should not have been with.
Carlos, call the lady that's the board of elections here in Fall River and ask her if she checks the signatures on all the.
I was a poll watcher.
Okay.
I was a poll watcher myself.
You never saw the signatures?
No. I was a poll watcher for what's his name?
Biden?
No, I'm talking the local. Talking local.
Okay.
For Dave Dennis.
Okay.
When Dave Dennis ran for state,
yeah,
I was one of the poll watchers in one place for him.
So could you not see this? Could you not see the ballots?
And I could not get six feet closer to. I could not see who name was on the ballot. I could not see it.
So how do you know if there? So did you?
We
see
were just there. I was just there, just to inform the head how many votes he got.
Yeah, but Carlos, why have a poll watcher then? The poll watcher is just to make sure that you're checking the signatures, checking the books, because that's right for fraud.
But that's not what I did. That's not what I did.
But that was wrong. That scares me because what happens is if you're not checking the signatures of all these mail-in ballots, how do you know if they're true? But we're gonna play the next one because this lady worked for the Secretary of State in Michigan, so they're the ones that handle elections. She did that for almost 29 years. Very interesting lady.
They have Dr. Linda Lee Tarver, followed by Marilyn Fine, followed by Michael Haynes. Hi, Dr. Tarver.
Thank you,
welcome
Senators.
to the committee.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Linda Lee Tarver. I'm a Michigan voter, former Michigan Civil Rights Commissioner, a retired state employee, and a Republican activist. I'm a public servant under 5 secretaries of state, including Richard Austin, Candace Miller, Terry Lynn Land, Ruth Johnson, and I was delighted to retire under the current Secretary of State. I have been under 7 years under Secretary of State Ruth Johnson. In that role, I was the Community Affairs Director and Election Integrity Liaison. I assisted in preparing cases for referral to Attorney General Bill Schuette to prosecute for voter fraud. Ballot harvesting in Detroit, Flint, and Pontiac has been going on for decades. It's a misdemeanor to give your ballot to anyone not allowed by law to receive it, and it's a felony to take that ballot. People have been prosecuted in Michigan over the years as a result. Ballot stuffing, ballot curing, and complete fraud in the issuance, handling, and processing of ballots has not been addressed, and no election after 2020 should be considered fair unless we get this right this year. The complete hate, disdain, and apathy for Republican poll challengers is but one way of how elections are stolen in Michigan. Before COVID-19, and I'm talking to the Democrat in the House, and in every election in the last 25 years, Republican poll challengers were removed by the police, especially in Pontiac. MCL 168.733 says, the election inspectors and other election officials on duty shall protect a challenger in the discharge of his or her duties. Shall protect is not an option. Shall protect. It is never done in the urban areas. Never, never, never in the urban areas. In the 34 years I've been working for the state of Michigan, and certainly not the 29 years I've been working at the Secretary of State. It also says in subsection 4, a person shall not threaten or intimidate a challenger while performing an activity allowed. You shall not threaten or intimidate. It is a misdemeanor for what they have done, these inspectors, to continue to intimidate and throw out Republican poll challengers. It has been going on too long. 71% of Detroit precincts, our largest city, cannot be recounted. As always expressed as minor clerical errors, these are not minor. There are touch points in the process for these ballots to be, and the accounting to be done, those ballots to be opened. In order for this fraud to be corrected, we need a complete audit. You need to have optics on it. This has always been done in the communities of color. It needs to stop. Unfortunately.
So she talks about what I was talking about, that poll watcher. So you are a poll watcher. They're getting threatened. They're abusive, and they will call the police. And the police are just going to go with whoever's saying someone's being, someone's not doing what they were supposed to be doing. So what's scary what that lady just said is that you can't do a recount when 70% of the ballots don't balance. And this thing goes on for 30 minutes, but a Democrat that was there said, why didn't Trump ask for a recount? And her thing was, why are you going to have a recount when you can't recount 70% of the ballots? Because they've thrown the paperwork away. So this is something that it was just exasperated when we had mail-in balloting. It just exasperated. So you had so many more ballots coming in. So how are you going to check the signatures? So this is what I'm getting at, that this has been going on for, I remember months prior to this election, people were saying, you can't do everything with these mail-in ballots. You can't check the signatures on them. Like you said, it's impossible. So you have an election where you can't verify that the people that voted are actually people. And people that came on this thing said they have a list of over 3,600 in the state of Michigan that they verified that the people were dead. And they're going to send that information into the Secretary of State's office. But we're at the end here. We're getting to the end where, is anything ever going to happen? Because we know when you go to the courts, it takes forever to go through. And my thing is, this lady also said she sent stuff in and people aren't prosecuted when they break the law, election laws. So when you go to court, right, if there's a slight pretense of that it was not right or it was not fair, people lose confidence in elections. And there's so many other things on here, Carlos, that they're talking about, that China funded this. Now, who do you think China would want as president? President Trump or President Biden? Who do you think that China would want as president?
Proof. Where's the proof? That China was involved with this.
But where was the proof that Russia was involved with Trump? And we heard that for 3 years, and it was inconclusive.
But two don't make one right.
Oh, God help.
Two wrongs don't make one right. So, but here's the thing. What is the goal? Because we have 3 minutes. Yeah. What is the goal of this? This that's going on with all this presentation.
I don't.
What is the goal?
Well, the goal is for these people, and there was a big rally today in Georgia. The rule is to get the state legislatures to basically say we're going to take over the vote, and they'll vote for the next president because the election they say is invalid because of all this fraud. That's the end game. Whether it's going to happen, who knows? They're really pressing time here. They don't have a lot of time to prove this. But the thing is, Carlos, in the state of Georgia,
we have 8 days. Yeah, we have 8 days to,
exactly
for the delegates to vote.
And right now, real quick, in the state of Georgia, there are two Senate races going on. There's a lady, Stacey Abrams, says she has 800,000 absentee ballots. What do you think is going to happen in that Senate race? Are they going to be able to check 800,000 absentee ballots?
No.
I don't think so.
Here's the thing. With all this fraud, and can they prove that they got 8 million votes that got stolen from them?
They can prove that they have thousands in some states, like the state of Michigan.
You need 8 million.
No, you don't need 80 million. That's the popular vote. The popular vote doesn't matter. You got states like the state of Georgia. They only need 10,000 votes to get. Michigan, I think, is another one that they need 10 or 20,000. They already have 3,000 dead people that voted. They have proof of that already. This is all going to go to the courts, but I just wanted to talk about it because if you're watching CNN, you're not going to hear about it. If you're watching Fox, you're not going to hear about it. If you watch an MSNBC, you're not going to hear about it.
I can tell you this: Fox News, they're melting. They're melting. They don't know. Now they're going after, Biden, it's putting this one on. Oh, he's putting that one. Now, nobody, it's good. No one that Biden's going to choose for secretaries, it's good. Trump did it all good, but they all left him before 2 years. But that's my last word for today.
and I gave it to you twice, but I appreciate you listening to me. I appreciate it.
And I see you next week.